If you're looking to get GMC registered, then you came to the right place. What is up YouTube, Dr. Wajih here, and welcome to my channel where I help you achieve your dream of becoming a successful doctor in Pakistan or the UK. And I teach anatomy on the side. So if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon to stay notified of the latest videos. What is up YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all things related to GMC registration. And by that, I mean filling out the online application form and the documents that you will need to get the registration. Before we begin, let me tell you, I'm going to be talking about getting GMC registration through the PLAB route. So if you're someone that's looking to get GMC registration based on your postgraduate qualification or AMC or USMLE, not the right video for you because I don't really know anything about that. We're going to do GMC registration through PLAB route only in this one. Quick disclaimer before we begin. I'm basing this video off of my own personal experience and that of my colleagues that have gone through the process. This video does not constitute professional advice. If you have any doubts or problems, do contact the GMC, which are very helpful with regards to your registration process. I do not speak on behalf of any of the governing bodies like the GMC, the ECFMG, or the Home Office, or any of those other official entities. So to start off, log into your GMC online account. On your left-hand side, you should see a bunch of options. Click on My Registration. From there, go on to My Applications. You should be able to click on something called IMG2, and that'll begin your application. They asked me if I had the right to EC, to which I responded no. See whether this option applies to you or not and select the option accordingly. Next, it asked me if I wanted to register on the specialist or GP register, to which I answered no, because I was registering as a junior, not as a specialist. And just to clarify, we are registering for full registration with a license to practice. And now our process for registration will begin. So in the first step, they asked me for my EPIC ID, which everyone should have by now. If you don't know how to get your primary medical qualification EPIC verified, then watch my video on that. Link is in the top left-hand corner right here. Second up are the internship details. Now here they're going to ask you a bunch of basic questions like what type was it, what is the start and end date, specialty, hospital, and country. So for type, I went with postgraduate because I did it after passing MBBS. Put in the exact start and finish dates, selected the specialty, whether it was medicine or surgery or cardio or neurosurgery, whatever have you, the hospital, and then obviously the country. Third in line were personal details like your name, and be very careful while entering these things because you do not want to mess up because it can lead to a lot of other complicated issues if you enter the wrong details. Next up is the bit that most people struggle with, which is your recent professional experience. Now in this bit, GMC wants you to go back 5 years from the day you're applying for your registration and tell them what you've been doing since then. They will ask you how you were engaged in medical practice, whether it was studying, whether it was a clinical observership, or you were a full-time employee. So for example, if 5 years ago you were a medical student, just mention from this date till the date you got your primary medical qualification, you were studying at your university. From the date you got your degree to the time you got your first job, you were unemployed because you were waiting for your registration process to go through or whatever your personal circumstances were. Or from this date to that date, you were in the UK giving your PLAB 2 exams or preparing for your PLAB 2 exams. From this date to that date, you were on vacation. And from this date to this date, you resumed your medical practice or are still looking for a job. Most people worry about having a clinical gap in this area, and GMC might not give them a registration. So the only advice I'm going to give you is that GMC has a very set criteria. They do account for different circumstances. Please do not lie on your registration. Do not try to provide any sort of falsified documents. That is going to be a detriment to your career overall. It's a very, very bad idea to try and do something like this. Be honest and explain your circumstances exactly like they were. I even went so far ahead in my timeline to say that from this time to this time I was unemployed because I was getting married or went on my honeymoon and stuff like that. So I was really honest with my application, and I would advise you guys to do the same thing. Next up, we have the registration and licensing history. So over here, all you have to mention is the country, the medical regulatory authority, the start date, the end date, and whether you're still registered or not. So fairly straightforward. You should have all the details on the certificate of registration from your home country. Next up, we have the fitness to practice section. For most people, the answers are over here are going to be straightforward no's. Please do reflect your circumstances honestly. After that, we'll have the declaration of fitness to practice. Again, most of the answers are just going to be straightforward no's. See what applies to you. And then we'll have the final declaration where you have to click on I agree to the terms and conditions. And then GMC will ask for a payment. You can find out about their payments on their official websites. I'll leave a link in the description for you to review that because it keeps changing from time to time. And there you have it, folks. That briefly wraps up how you're supposed to fill out the online application. Next, I'm going to talk about what sort of documents they're going to ask for you. Again, every person's circumstances are going to be slightly different. I'm going to discuss the generic email that they sent me asking for specific documents, but they might ask you for slightly different documents because not everyone's case is going to be exactly the same. So after you've filled out your application form, GMC is going to start your process. They will email you about the documents that they want you to email them. In my case, I only had to email them the stuff that they asked for. I didn't have to post any original documents their way. There have been certain circumstances where some people have had to post that stuff. So wait for their email and they will give you specific instructions on what you have to do in your particular case. Okay, so the documents that they wanted me to send via email were number 1, passport. Number 2, primary medical qualification. So my degree did not clearly mention when I had graduated, so they asked me for an additional document that clearly mentioned when I had passed my final year exams in the college I was affiliated with. Now, for every university, that might not be the case. It might be different for you, but for the people graduating from Dow Medical College, I'd say you can submit your provisional certificate or your final transcript as evidence of the date you've passed your final year exams. Next up, they asked me for a certificate of good standing. You can get that from whatever medical authority you're already registered with. So in my case, it was the PMC. Next, they asked for evidence of English proficiency. So I sent them my IELTS certificate. You can send either an IELTS certificate or an OET test result. Mind you, if 2 years have lapsed since the time you passed your exam, you may either need to give it again, or the GMC does have alternatives in a way that you can prove that you do have the required English proficiency. But I couldn't meet those alternative criteria, so I just had to give the exam all over again. Next, they asked for evidence of an acceptable pattern of internship, which in my case were the house job certificates that I had, and that was pretty much it for me. If you don't have any documents that are 100% in English, you may need to get them translated. I'm not really sure how that's supposed to be done because I didn't go through that process. And if you've done any non-medical work in the meanwhile, before getting GMC registered, then they will ask you to fill out a GEN1 form. And basically, that's it. It's a very straightforward process, but once you begin your application, the GMC does give you a specific time frame within which you have to complete it. Otherwise, your application will be deleted and you're going to have to restart the whole application all over again. It is quite a fair amount of time. I'd advise you to get your documents in order as soon as possible because sometimes that sort of thing takes a while. So as soon as you graduate from your house job, try to get your house job certificate sorted. Make sure you have your passport up to date and it isn't expired. Get your medical degree verified a couple of months before you come for your PLAB 2 exam. If you've done any sort of non-medical work, go to the GMC website, see what sort of form you need to get filled, and trace your employers and get that thing sorted out. Don't get a certificate of good standing too early on because those expire within 3 months of issuing. So only when you're close to applying for the GMC registration should you get that certificate issued. Get all the documents sorted first before beginning your application so that everything goes in a streamlined fashion and you don't have to worry about chasing up documents from different governing bodies, which is a massive headache. So I hope you guys like this video. I hope this video will be helpful for that time when you finally get yourself GMC verified. Good luck for everyone on their journey, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.